In this Bakasana tutorial, we will focus on the three main ingredients that make for a strong pose. The first is the foundation, the second is strength, and the third is the balancing point. So to start with the foundation, we'll have to start with the hands, the things that we're balancing on. Come to hands and knees. Part of what we need to set up from the beginning is how to place the hands on the floor on your yoga mat. Looking at your hands, point your index fingers straight forward so they're parallel to the long edge of your mat. And spread your other fingers out wide. So should look nice and wide spread, just like this, placing it down onto the floor. Root down through your index finger knuckle and the root of your thumb, and make sure that you're plugging down each finger knuckle into your mat, really sealing your hands onto the floor. So this is establishing a really firm foundation. And then there's one more component that we have to set up. I'm going to come closer to the camera in order to show you this one. So once your hands are on the floor, index fingers pointing straight forward, we want to create a little bit of a clawing action into the floor. So how this manifests is just a little bit of bending at the last knuckle, almost like you're palming a basketball. It gets all of the muscles in the hand to activate and all the muscles through the forearms and makes that foundation even stronger. So on your mat, come to hands and knees, point index fingers straight forward, make sure you have the seal that we just practiced, and then claw the floor with your fingertips. And then release it. We'll do it 2 more times and notice how when you claw the floor, that energetically it kind of lifts up and you find strength that way. So claw the floor with your fingertips. Feel the strength come into your forearms and your hands and release. And then again, claw the floor with your fingertips. All right. Okay, so that's ingredient 1, foundation, with your hands. Ingredient 2 is through the core and the spine, the position of the spine which sets up core strength. So you need a little bit of what's called flexion through the spine, a little bit of rounding through the spine, and mostly in the upper back. So again, on hands and knees. What you'll do is start to tuck your tailbone under a little bit, and keeping your gaze down between your hands, puff your spine up between your shoulder blades. So kind of like cat pose, if you're familiar with that, except you don't tuck your chin in. You don't look in towards your thighs. You look straight down between your hands like you're coming into Bakasana or crane pose. And then lengthen through your spine and press down into the floor. Find that slight rounding, especially puffing your spine up between the shoulder blades. And then come back into the lengthened spine. And one more time, a little tucking of the tailbone and puffing the spine up between the shoulder blades. All right, so this is ingredient 2, finding the strength of your core and positioning the spine in a way that helps to promote that. Ingredient number 3. Ingredient number 3 is the balancing point. So once you have the position to enter into Bakasana or crane pose, it's necessary to find the balancing point. So you'll come into a squatting position, and for today we'll enter with the feet all the way together, the knees wide, and you'll bring your arms in between your inner thighs. Then hook your arms across the fronts of your shins beneath your knees. Hey, allow your hands to fall where they naturally fall. Don't try to tuck them back, just let them fall where they naturally do. Place your hands the way that we practiced earlier with index fingers pointing forward. Then, to find the balancing point, first step, lift your hips up, rock your weight forward until you feel your weight come onto your hands. Then, step 1, foundation, claw the floor with your fingertips. Find strength through the foundation of your hands. Step 2, find strength in the core. Try to puff your spine up between your shoulder blades even more, activating your core muscles. Then, you actually need to lean forward to find the balancing point. Let me just show, even if we have all of this intact, if I don't shift anything, if I lift my feet up from there, I'm always going to come back and fall back onto my feet. What needs to happen is the elbows need to stack directly over the wrists. You need to have that column of strength, the vertical column of strength with your forearms. So the weight needs to go forward in order to find a balancing point. So again, coming along with me, come into the squat. Tuck your arms across the fronts of your shins, lay your palms down, place them like we've been practicing. Lift your hips up, rock your weight forward. Claw the floor with your fingertips. Puff your spine up between your shoulder blades a little bit more, find more core strength. Then, in order to shift your weight forward, first, look toward the front edge of your mat. Look a few inches, several inches in front of you. Send your face and your sternum forward. Drag your hands back until you feel that balancing point come in. Claw the floor with your fingers even more. All right, notice, if you're looking at me in this video, you can see now that my elbows are directly over my wrists. And if I start to move away from that, it's going to send me back onto my feet. So here are the 3 tips for building a really strong Bakasana or crane pose. Thanks for joining me.